Sean Douglas. It's always so nice to have an Air Force guy on because, I can use big words. I mean, you're not going to pick your nose on camera. You
Right.
won't eat crayons. It's good, man. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Hey, brother. Thank you for having me. I am doing amazing. And yes, it is always good to have an intellectual conversation with somebody.
I love picking on my veterans.
Right?
Oh, man. So 20 years, 21 years?
20 years and 4 days.
But who's counting, right?
Right.
And you were working on
I was an F-15 crew chief, and then eventually I was depot level on 16s, A-10s, and 22s, and then became a drill instructor, and then went back to my career field. Did some security forces early on in my career because I didn't really like the crew chief thing, so I did security forces for a little bit, and I was like, oh, screw this. And then went back to my career field, and then, it was a great 20 years.
20 years and 4 days.
And 4 days.
Hey, man, we're very precise here at the Sales Whisperer, okay?
We have to be very precise at the VA, too, because that's how you're going to get paid.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of those 4 days matter.
Nice. So were you down at Lackland?
As a drill instructor, yeah.
Yeah. So when I was at the Air Force Academy, one of the options was to go down to Lackland. So before, I think it was before my junior year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it was. But because at the Academy, we have three-week stints. So one of the 3 weeks is summer vacation, but then the other 2 are training of some sorts. And so going to Lackland was an option, but it was a 6-week gig, right? And I grew up in Houston. So it was kind of like going home, and I got it. Oh, it was awesome. But holy hell, it was hot. Mm-hmm. I've lived in Houston. I went to A&M for grad school. We moved back to Austin for years. And my mom's in Bastrop, and gosh, it was hot. But I got assigned to a female squadron, and there was this woman, Sergeant French. She was this itty bitty, teeny tiny little thing, a black woman with green contact lenses and a British accent, which I never figured out where the hell that came from. But she would chew these women up. Dude, my back was against the wall, and I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Yep. Was that 2009 or 10?
Oh, no. This was 80.
Oh, okay.
90. She was wrecking them, man. And do not cross Sergeant French. So I still remember her to this day.
It's amazing.
It was funny. How long were you there as a
I was there from 2009 to 2013. And while I was there was a small little black female, Sergeant French.
No way.
Yeah. I wonder if she has a daughter.
Oh my gosh. I would love to look her up because I'm friends. So after I went to A&M, I got sent to Korea, and I was, when you graduate college, you don't know jack crap. So they assign you to a smart sergeant. It's like, hey, keep the lieutenant out of trouble. Don't let him break anything.
Right.
So Sylvia Poole, we always had to put our initials on any of our briefings, right? So Sierra Victor Papa, Sylvia Poole. So I found her on Facebook. So we're friends to this day.
Nice.
But I spent 90 days with her, whatever shift, because they would rotate, whatever, a few weeks or a month, whatever, day shift, swing shift, night shift. So I was at her side, man, for 90 days. But she would wreck them, man. Well, fun time.
That's awesome.
I could tell some stories. I'm sure you could too.
Oh yeah.
So you do 20 years, 4 days, and now what? You're doing TEDx talks. You're teaching people how to speak. Come on, man. You're a wrench monkey. Okay. Let's not sugarcoat this. Oh, but you're Air Force though. That's how you can speak. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, man. That's where it comes from.
But how did you make that transition? That's a big transition.
Yeah. Well, actually, I built 4 businesses while serving in the military.
Oh, nice.
And I've always had like little side hustles. I actually had some pretty big businesses. There was an entertainment company that we were doing over $500,000 a year.
What?
There was an antique store that we were doing about $250,000 to $300,000 a year. But the speaking came in 2000. After being a drill instructor, I transitioned back to basically my job. And at the new base at Seymour Johnson, they said, hey, we're starting this resilience program. and we need some instructors. I said, well, I was an instructor. I just came from there. Well, after my deployment in 2013, I came back in 2014 and they said, okay, we're going to send you to instructor school. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they're like, no, we're going to send you to a 2-week course. And I was like, you do realize I literally just got back from basic training. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just send you through the master trainer course. I'm like, sure. Well, there was 2 other drill instructors in there and we were just laughing. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, you should just look at our resume. I wasn't trying to be cocky, but it was like, just let us do our thing. Like, literally just let us teach. So they were like, here's how you do it. And here's how you deliver the material. And we're just sitting there like, you got to be kidding me. So then we get up there and we do our thing. And the instructors are like, are you prior instructors? Like, yeah, we're drill instructors. And they're like, oh, why didn't you say so? I was like, oh my God. So I spent 2 weeks at Dover. And we went through this resilience training course, Well, we went down to UPenn to get trained on their resilience program, then brought it back to the Air Force and blued it. And that was our resilience course that we had taught from 2014 ongoing. It's still a version taught today, but the military has stripped basically everything out of it and made it whatever they want it to be right now. But we were teaching UPenn's resilience program from 2014 to 2009.
So what the heck is a resilience program?
So the resilience program was basically the CAF, was what they created, comprehensive airman fitness, and it went along the lines of the new regime, or the new way of thinking was whole airman concept. So we taught mental, physical, social, spiritual resilience principles. We then, a couple of years later, said, well, they're not really nutritionists. And the nutritionists on base were getting mad that we were teaching this class about nutrition, about health, or whatever. They got mad. So we deleted the physical resilience out of our course and decided that, okay, we're going to do mental, spiritual, emotional, and social resilience. And basically, the CAF program became what you would call, like, we're having a down day. Everybody's going to teach one pillar of this, whatever, resilience. We're going to have a suicide awareness class and all the stuff. So it was basically the MRT was the master resilience trainers on base that would go around to all the different units and teach one class to like all of their people.
All right. Yeah. I remember having total quality management TQM training. Actually here at March Air Force Base in 94, 95. And, I'm 24 years old. I'm just rolling my eyes at this thing because it's all from the top down. It's like,
yeah,
if the boss man ain't for it, this ain't happening. But okay,
right.
let's all go through this training. But oh well, you got some good training and it laid the foundation, right? So hey, cool. So walk me through that, right? So this is 2016 and you were retiring when? 2020?
2021.
21. Did the whole COVID crazy crap give you second thoughts about getting out?
No, not at all. I never had second thoughts. In 2016, I was doing the resilience training and I got booked. Somebody found me through my social media and said, hey, we'd like to have you come speak. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I was already doing that as a drill instructor. High schools and colleges would have me come speak and have them come train their junior ROTC and their ROTC program because I was always a judge.
Did you do it? You had to do it for free?
Yeah.
Okay.
And because I was a judge at national drill competitions, they're like, hey, would you want to come to our school? I'm like, sure, whatever. And they said, we can't pay you. I'm like, I get it. But in I got paid like $1,000 to go speak at this conference about finding your purpose and resilience and all the stuff. And I'm like, I can make a business out of this.
How did you get found? Did you have your own website?
Yeah, it was just on Facebook.
Oh,
they just found me on Facebook through my post because I was posting some of our content from the course.
Oh, nice.
And I said, okay, I'm going to write a book because that's what every research online was like, you have to have a book. If you're a speaker, you have to have a book. So, okay, I guess I'll write a book. So then I self-published a book called Decisions, The Power to Overcome Self-Defeating Behaviors. And that led to 2000 creating my first radio show, Life Transformation Radio, which I sold in had 436 or 476 episodes and sold that. But that show led me to become an icon of influence. I was at a summit called New Media Summit, and they crowned me an icon of influence. I was speaking everywhere. And then I said, okay, in 2017, I really want to get a TEDx talk. That's the Super Bowl of speaking. And I'll do it in 5 years because I'll be retiring in 5 years. I'll give me 5 years to kind of solidify myself as a speaker. I did it that year. I said I would do it in 5. I did it that year in December of 2017. Got my first of 3 TEDx talks.
All right. To be fair, a TEDx, I've given a TEDx. A TEDx is like, it's like an NCAA championship. A full TED talk, I would call the.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay $10,000 to speak on their stage.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I know.
I thought they picked just good people. No, are they all paying?
No, I thought the same thing too until I looked into it, and literally, you pay $10,000 to speak on their stage.
Oh yeah, kiss my grits. All right, that's cool. So how did that happen? How did that first one happen?
Yeah, I got nominated by a nonprofit that I was doing some work with.
Did you ask them to nominate you?
No.
Nice.
No. And so 2 of us from that nonprofit got booked to speak at that event. And I was the opening speaker and he was the closing speaker. It was super cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And then during the pandemic in 2020, I did it online because events got shut down. Like, oh, we'll just do it online. And literally no one has seen it. It's just another, talk or whatever, like virtual talk, like Zoom or whatever. And then
your resume, 3X TEDx speaker.
I can say that, yeah. And then last year in March, in my home state of Michigan, I delivered my 3rd TEDx talk at Lake Superior State University on the answer to veteran suicide and why identity matters. And that was my talk, was how to stop veteran suicide, because when we exit the military, we lose our identity and we need to fill that void with something. And so that was the whole reason why I built businesses in the military, so that I would have something to do on the outside.
Right. And then, did you have to get permission or anything from the military?
Nope.
To have any side income?
No, as long as you made under a certain amount of money.
You were doing $500,000. I mean, I was gross revenue, but that didn't put you over a threshold?
No, threshold's $1 million.
So you have to earn $1 million or gross $1 million?
You have to gross $1 million.
Okay.
Or win $1 million in Vegas.
Win $1 million or take home $1 million.
Right.
The government takes a big old chunk of Vegas.
Yeah, they do. We were actually TDY to Vegas, and one of the pilots had won the jackpot of $1 million. And of course, the military found out, and they're like, "You have to give some money away." They're like, "Well, I'm probably, with all the taxes and everything, like, we're just making sure that you cannot possess over $1 million worth of assets or cash or whatever. Otherwise, you'll have to exit the military." Yeah, there's a whole regulation on this.
Wait. What? Like at one time? I mean, what?
Yeah.
What if you get an inheritance?
You can't serve and have over $1 million worth of assets. You can't be you cannot have a net worth of over $1 million.
No kidding.
Yeah. According
Has
to
that always been a thing?
I guess it was in an Air Force regulation.
I mean, I didn't come from money, so that was never a risk. So I never had to read that chapter. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, just with the run up of houses, right? If a guy is stationed here and they've owned a home for 10 years, they could easily be worth $1 million.
I mean,
there's got to be some clauses in there or something. Yeah, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one I don't want to talk about because you, in a way, it was luck, but you were putting yourself out there and you were visible. So that's fine. So everyone listening, be visible, right? Be seen, be known. Yep. But so let's say your last one, did you ask for any of these? Because I'm trying to pull out actions that our listeners, is there a model? Is there an outline that you could direct people towards, say, go do this to stack the odds in your favor 100%. To reach these goals?
Yeah, 100%. The third one was, the second and third one was all me, and how you apply to the talk, what you say in your proposal. So the first thing you have to do, if you want to get on TEDx, this is what you do. And this is what I teach people to do. You have to start out with a startling fact, a startling story, or a startling discovery, because you have to hook them. They get hundreds of pitches to get booked at these events. You have to hook them in the first 10 seconds, 15 seconds max. You have to hook them. And whatever you want to talk about has to match the theme of the event, or you have zero chance. So if the theme is a bright future and you want to talk about like AI, cool, AI is the future. But if you want to talk about real estate and how people can invest in real estate for a bright future, you might have a chance. But if your real estate talk is like, this is what I did to become a millionaire and you can too, like, they're not going to care.
Yeah.
You know, it has to link up with the theme of the event. And then the third part, and which is most important, is what is that big idea and how is humanity changed if you implement that big idea? So you have to have that fact or story, something that's big, something that's like, hey, one person I was working with, they said 100% of you at some point in this room, at some point in your life, will die. I was like, okay. And it grabbed him, man. It hooked him. Another lady I was working with, her opening line was, I used to eat out of trash cans. But before I tell you that story, I just want to tell you this. And the crowd was like, whoa, hold on. What? You know, and they were hooked. They were like, what do you mean you used to eat out of trash cans? Like, what are you talking about? So you have to, there's got to be some kind of a hook, you know? And then midway through the talk, she goes, remember when I told you I used to eat out of trash cans? Here's the story. And everybody's like, oh, okay, finally, here we go. Yeah. So they were looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I just laid out the statistics for suicide for veterans, and I laid out the statistics of, I mean, this is all research studies. I mean, this is everything's, you know, it's out there. And so I laid that out and I tied in how when you leave the military, you lose your identity. And that has a lot to do with why there's veteran homelessness, veteran suicide. And they were like, yep, loved it.
Nice.
And that was it. And then combined with the research studies and the data that I provided and that big idea, they're like, this is a winning, you know, proposal. So that's what I help a lot of people do, is create that winning proposal using those three items, because that's exactly what they're looking for.
And so what is the benefit of giving a TEDx talk? Is it just credibility for you? You know, I see it on your LinkedIn profile, on your website. Does that just help smooth the path, like for paid speaking gigs and consulting and things like that?
Yes, absolutely. And people who have spoken at TEDx have gone on to do incredible work, but they got their start there and they got known there because that platform reaches millions and millions of people. When your talk is on the TED YouTube or on the TED site, millions of people are going to see it.
Yeah.
And all it takes is somebody finding your talk and then playing it in a college class, and then we should have him come speak here. And it's just, that's how it works.
Yeah.
But just getting on that stage is hard enough. But then getting discovered, like my first TEDx talk has, I don't know, 18 or 20,000 views or something like that. And I think my new one, that one's, they didn't really promote it, you know, all that much. So they usually leave it up to the speakers to promote that. You know, I think it's a few hundred, but out of those few hundred, you know, I've gone on, like I was in Texas last year, in Midland, Texas, delivering a Veterans Day speech because someone saw my TEDx talk.
Yeah.
And that was a paid gig. That was a $3,500 paid gig.
Nice. Very cool. So how do you split your time now between, you know, doing your own thing, speaking and whatnot, or teaching others, coaching? Like what's the makeup or the breakdown of your business now?
Yeah, I've got a couple clients that I'm working with to get them on TEDx, to launch podcasts too. We launch podcasts and whatnot. So we used to do a lot of books, but that became very labor intensive. So I have another team that deals with that. But yeah, I got a couple clients that I'm working with, quite a few clients that I work with their podcasts, getting them booked on stages and podcasts, TEDx. So that, and then I speak probably, I would say 20, 25 times a year. I'm speaking. There's a online summit going on right now that was pre-recorded. And then I'll be, I think in a couple days, I'll be, speaking, but it's pre-recorded. So there's a lot of virtual summits that I do. I just spoke at one last week called the National Publicity Summit. I just did that one. Then there's this one. There's another one coming up in like 2 weeks that was already pre-recorded. It's a lot of virtual summit. But as far as like in-person speaking, there's probably 2 events maybe every month, that's live in person. Mm-hmm. And that just goes with my schedule.
So out of those 20 or 25, like what percentage are paid talks versus like a summit? I've been invited to a lot of those, and I'm torn on them. I mean, some of these people get freaking pushy. You're going to come on, but you're going to send 4 emails to your list, tag us on 4 on social media, on and on. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I got time for that.
So it's like I'm just building their list, and I've I've gotten mediocre results from it. So it's like I'm not chomping at the bit for those.
Right, but
I mean, it can
social presence and social
presence. You can. I have gotten leads in business, so choose them carefully, and they can be good.
Yeah,
but
I'd say 3/4 of mine are paid. 3/4 of my speaking's paid.
Yeah, good. So like traditional, like.
Yep.
Go to a conference, step on stage, like our keynote sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Do you do this and or recommend like teaching like some type of workshop or something along with it, to augment the talk? Like what's your feelings on that?
Yeah, I actually worked for a professional seminar company a couple of years ago. And when I wasn't speaking, they would book me in different places, and that pay isn't great. It's like $600 a day, and you're gone for 3 days, teaching a half-day workshop. But I mean, everything's paid for though. The flight's paid, hotels paid, your Ubers, food or whatever, like it's all reimbursed. Plus they give you like a per diem. So it's like being TDY. And then, you're taking home $600 a day for delivering a half-day workshop, to a government agency of some kind.
Yep.
So that part was, but
I was approached by one. I've got a stack of books about maybe that big up on my shelf, on like social media marketing, web copy. So it was a little bit of bait and switch, but I think it was like a seminar type company, and so I ended up buying all these books because they shipped them to me. Then I realized what was going on because it was something like that, and I was just going to deliver their content. And after looking at it, there were some clauses and whatnot. I was not comfortable with it. And so I stopped it. And boy, they were mad. Woo. But yeah, it can be good money. And it's stress-free in that regard because everything's done, right? You just got to show up and deliver. And so, are you still with them? Okay. Maybe like a little transition sort of thing for you back.
It was,
back in the day. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool. But you also get experience, right? And you get contacts. I mean, I'm still in touch with people. I did a 10-month gig with Dell in 2000.
Wow.
And I still have contacts from them. So,
that's awesome.
Meeting people, putting your face out there and getting the reps in is always a good thing. It will pay off. So, kudos to you for jumping in and, knocking it out. I mean, take what's there, and then you'll figure out the next thing, right? If you want to earn more than $600 a day, you'll figure out the next thing. But in the meantime, you're putting food on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yep. And if you do that twice, right? You do that twice a month. That's 3-day gigs. It's $3,600, and combined with my military retirement and VA disability, it's not a bad gig.
Yeah, I mean that's what 45 grand working 6 days, plus travel. So call it 8 days away from home. Yeah. All right. There's worse ways to make a buck.
Right.
What did you learn from that though? Were you able to pull some nuggets, some structure,
Yeah.
do's or don'ts from that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was so much forwarding ahead. If you're going to bring books or if you're going to bring manuals, right? Like FedEx it ahead of time. Don't bring it on the airplane.
True.
You have, a way of connecting with people. Like, how do I network? How do I turn this gig into the next gig? And so, I mean, it was a lot of networking. There was a lot of, shaking hands. Really, like the behind the scenes is what nobody sees. All they see is you on stage. Like, oh, he's so awesome. He's on stage. But they don't see that you're out at a networking event after that event, getting to know a bunch of people that even put on the conference, or, you're at dinner with the conference organizer. Like, who do you know? Where should I be speaking? Stuff like, I mean, you're having a conversation with them. Like, how can I benefit you outside of this event? I don't want to just come here and speak and leave. I'd love to build a relationship. How can we do that? And so you're literally networking and negotiating behind the scenes, and no one's ever going to see that.
Right.
And that's important.
Did you ever see Glenn Ross?
Oh yeah.
ABC, always be closing. And I'm like, I came up with the new ABCs, right? And one of them is always be curious.
Yep.
You're there, show up early, stay late.
Yep.
Ask some questions, because people want to help, right? You show up, they want to help. They want to spread the word.
Yep.
You can't be aloof. You can't be drunk,
Yeah. Yeah.
Show up early.
Yeah.
Learn something about them ahead of time. Learn a little bit more while you're there. And man, they'll roll the red carpet out for you.
Oh, absolutely. Then you get a video testimonial. Then the video testimonial goes on your website. And man, it's just amazing.
Dude, I bust out the iPhone, put it there and go, hey, can you say that again?
Yep. Can you tell me how awesome I am one more time?
Yeah. And it's funny, right? Because you let them, I learned this, right? You let them give you a compliment, right? So if it comes out, right? So, oh, we love you. So I just let them, basically they're getting a dress rehearsal in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would you mind saying that one more time on camera? Because a lot of times people, they get nervous, when they see the red light go on. I'm like, and I will hold their hand, even men. And they're cool with it. And it calms them down. And they give whatever, 20-second, 1 minute testimonial.
Yeah.
And it's just this beautiful thing. But people are so jaded, I make them say my name.
Yes.
Wes, thank you for coming here. Because people will think it's a fake testimony. You just swiped it off the internet. So I mean, how jaded we are as a species.
Oh, we had Sean speak here at this event, and it was so good, and all that. Oh yeah.
How do you know how to price a keynote talk?
Well, there's an industry standard. If you're beginning, it's between 1,000 and 3,000. If you're intermediate, it's between 3 and 5, or maybe 4 to 7. If you're a celebrity, it's over 10 grand. But one major key aspect that I learned in that professional seminar company is that you're only as valuable as someone is willing to pay. And another thing, inside of speaking, you will only get paid per the value that someone sees inside of themselves. And that goes for coaching too. When you're trying to get coaching clients, if they don't think that they're valuable enough, they will not pay your price.
Yeah.
So they will only pay according to the value that they see in themselves. And with the organizers, they're only going to pay what they think your keynote is worth. And most associations pay between $2,500 and $3,500. So you could, I literally emailed almost every single association in the state that I was living. I used to live in North Carolina. And I emailed almost every single association in the state of North Carolina. I said, hey, I'm a speaker. I saw that you have a couple conferences that you do. If ever you need a speaker, here's what I talk about. Would love to have a conversation with you. Would love to get on the book somehow, whatever. And that landed me, just under probably 10 gigs. But then that led to me going to Georgia to speak at an association conference.
So in what time frame? So how many did you contact over what time for, in a month? Did it take you 3 months?
To be probably took me like a week or two.
Okay.
And it was quite a few hundred.
And
I'd say about let's call it about 100, 150, whatever.
And so you sent just a personal email to each?
I did. to the event, to the executive director and the association president.
Nice. Okay.
And then out of that, it's probably half got a hold of me. Hey, we received your email. Hey, appreciate you. Yeah, if we ever need a speaker, like we'll let you know. And then out of the half, I would say maybe a quarter or an eighth. Maybe like 30 of them, maybe 20. Really wanted to have a forwarding conversation with me, and then I probably got booked on like maybe 7 or 8 stages. That's kind of how it works. It's a numbers game.
And so, in what time frame were the talks? Like all within the same year, or half year?
Yeah, 2018 and 2019.
Okay.
2017 was pretty okay. That was a lot of conferences. I spoke at the Jim Moran Institute at Florida State University. They have an entrepreneur event that goes on there every year. Spoke there. But 2018, 2019, that was prospecting, associations. I was speaking at a lot of different marketing conferences. People were finding me online. There was a lot. I was speaking a lot.
Yeah, good. So 7, 8 stages. Let's say $3,000, right? As an average. So 24 grand. Could you sell anything there?
No.
Or do they kind of frown on that?
Yeah, no, you can't sell anything. No.
They won't even give you like a table talk. Cause I spoke at an association and, they let me sell my own book, in the back of the room, but yeah, no big overt pitches.
Yeah. Well, so inside of my talk, the way I end it for associations, because associations comprise a lot of different businesses and a lot of different decision makers. So I say, if this talk resonated with you, I'd love to have a conversation about how I can bring it to your work center, all that other stuff. And that got the ball rolling into a company paying me $5,000 or $10,000, $12,000 to come into their company and do a half-day workshop for their C-suite or for their leadership team or, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
So that's why associations are really good, because you have such a community of businesses and decision makers at one location that you speak at that association event and they love you. I spoke in Georgia. I spoke at the school bookkeeping association, and a couple of them said, we need to bring you to our high school just to speak at an assembly. I'm like, let's do it. And then the high school paid me like $2,000. So
nice. Yeah. Keep on pushing, huh? Yeah, that's cool. And that's the way that it is, right? People think, oh, I got to have this all mapped out. And it's like, I tell them it's like walking through the woods at night with a flashlight.
Yeah.
You know where you are. Okay. You this is not the Amazon. You don't have thousands of miles to walk. You didn't, drop out of an airplane, eject from an airplane.
Right.
It's the backyard forest, its extent. Okay, it's dark, maybe it's even raining, but you got a flashlight. So as long as the next step you take is solid and roughly east, west, north, south, it's like keep stepping. Things are going to open up. And that was one of the hardest things for me to learn as an entrepreneur, along the same lines, but it's sell it first, then build it. Like if I'm going to have a course, on copywriting, I know how to write. I know how to teach. So, but I'm not going to make, 200 slides and an 80-page workbook if I don't have any customers.
Right.
So I'll pre-sell it and tell them, hey, this is my first time teaching this class. I want to see if there's an interest. This would be $1,000 class. I'm thinking of doing it, for $100. If I can get 10 people at $100, I'll do this class. Oh, okay. Oh, I get 20. All right, fine. I'll cut it off at 20. Say, hey, we're going to do it in 30 days. Okay. So now I have $2,000, $3,000, whatever, and some interest. Okay. Now I don't have to teach to a blank room, empty room.
Right.
And now I'm motivated to create the content. Then it's recorded. Then I'll push it out there. So, the same thing with speaking. Make the calls. Contact the associations. Contact the high schools. Contact the Rotary Club. Whatever. Start flapping your gums. Get some experience. It's harder than it looks, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. People are like, oh yeah, well I'll just have this book or this course or this one thing, and then my inbox is going to be flooded in my email. Like they're just going to email me to have me come speak or whatever. Like, You realize there's millions of speakers out there. I mean, there's got to be millions of speakers.
Well,
And
there's millions of wannabe speakers.
right, who are getting booked over you because they're the ones calling. Like right now, people should be calling colleges and say, "Hey, do you have a graduation commencement speaker? Are you in the market for a graduation speaker?"
Well, they're late with that, don't you think? I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean,
within 2 months.
they should probably have it figured out. In January, they should probably be calling. Hey, I'd like to talk to you about your graduation speaker and all that.
Yeah.
But colleges typically book 2 to 3 months because they want to know that everything's going to be good to go. So yeah, I would say about 90 days. 90 days out, you should be pitching people for whatever is going to happen. Veterans Day, I should be at least minimum 90 days out contacting veterans organizations and in different places to have me come deliver a Veterans Day speech or a Memorial Day speech or a 4th of July speech or, whatever.
How do you decide when to give a free talk versus paid? Because, I mean, are the veterans, Veterans Day, is the city going to pay you to come give that talk, or are you going to do it for exposure?
So that's the crux of it all, because if I'm speaking to like a nonprofit, like a veterans group, I want to give back, but I'm not going to spend $3,000 on plane tickets and hotels and everything else to come speak for free. Like I'll do something locally. But like last year I went to Midland, Texas, and the Rotary Club there, somebody heard me speak at an event in whatever town's next to Midland. I can't remember. It starts with an O, but
Odessa.
Odessa, yeah. So I was in Odessa and I was speaking at an entrepreneur event, and somebody was in my breakout room and they said, "Oh my gosh, I have a friend that is part of the Rotary Club and they're putting on a Veterans Day event and they're looking for a speaker." I'm like, "Let's go." And so they got me in touch with that person. I was referred to them. We had a great conversation. They're like, "We'd love for you to come down. Here's 3,000. So, but that Odessa, Texas event, that was free. That was a free event. And I went down there because I knew that being at that entrepreneur event and city officials being there and the people that were attending that event were going to be very lucrative. And it turns out that it's still paying dividends. Yeah. And so they've already reached out and said, "Hey, we'd love for you to be the keynote speaker of this year's event." I'm like, "Let's go. Let's do it."
Yeah, and I think too, once you start getting out there, you're probably going to undercharge at first. You're probably going to
sure
a few pigs. You're going to end up at some 4-H club thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wrong audience, wrong event, but you're going to learn, so, but get out there and do it. You'll learn, once you get punched in the nose a few times, you're like, I got to charge more,
Yeah.
You'll figure it out, but nothing beats doing. Like Mike Tyson, right? Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face.
Oh yeah.
So make the calls. And would you recommend somebody start like that? Like try call local?
Yep.
Call regional?
Yeah. So the best way to do it is to speak nationally, but sleep locally. Meaning search for a call for speakers for a national conference in your area. You just search for them. I mean, they're everywhere. You could be call for speakers, national conference, Utah, and see what association conferences that are national conferences, because every national conference brings representatives from every region and every local and state chapter.
Right.
So if you're speaking at a national, like I was in North Carolina and I spoke at the School Nutrition Association, and that was in South Carolina. Somebody from Virginia was there, brought me in to speak to their local group in Virginia and paid me $1,000 to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only did I get, $3,500 from that association, but then they said, "Hey, would you want to come speak to our group locally? We can pay you $1,000. I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And I was in North Carolina. So I drove like 2 hours north to Virginia. And when I spoke at that conference, I drove 3 hours south to South Carolina, to Myrtle Beach, and I got paid. And then I brought my kids and my family with me, and we just hung out at Myrtle Beach for 2 days. So it was like a mini vacation, but at the same time I got paid. I mean, most people live at about $5,000 a month. So if I do 2 speaking gigs at 3,000, that's 6,000. Like that's pretty much my monthly expenses.
Yep.
You know, I'm not trying to get, $50,000 a month, which would be beautiful, but you got to start somewhere, and it's good enough, and now, I'm booked all the time at 5,500 all the time.
Right.
So I had to do those little ones in order to get the big ones.
So you say do a search call for speakers. Is it as simple as go to Google, type in call for speakers, and start
in quotes?
Seeing what's up?
It has to be in quotes.
Okay. Because I'm doing that now, and there's great results just without quotes. Now here's a quote. So mic drop workshop, Empire State Society of Association Executives.
Oh yeah. So that association right there, the Empire State. So that right there is a national conference for associations.
Okay.
You can speak there and speak to tons of national associations. So, and you put in call for speakers, you put in your topic. So like in quotes, call for speakers, then put your topic, resilience, sales, whatever. And then there's a whole bunch of places that are looking for speakers. Or if you want to get into corporate, you could, in quotes, put in request for proposals. So you type in quotes, request for proposals, see what pops up. Maybe it's not popping up the way you think it will. Or maybe there's a company that's like, hey, we're looking for a resilience trainer, blah, blah, blah. Or you can put in request for proposals, and then end quote, you can put in your topic, resilience, sales, marketing, leadership, whatever. And then that's going to narrow it down to the places that are literally looking for speakers. On social media, you go to Facebook, type in hashtag call for speakers, LinkedIn, hashtag call for speakers. And then that's going to unlock all kinds of events. Hey, we're looking for a speaker. We're looking for a speaker. Hey, we're looking for a speaker. We're looking for a speaker. And so you do this for 2 hours a day.
There's 19,000 posts on Facebook with the hashtag call for speakers.
There you go. So there might be a couple free ones mixed in. There might be, but here's what I do. So when I see an event, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I could speak it. We're looking for a leadership speaker. First thing I do is friend request the organizer. Then like the post, then comment on the post, then click the link and look at their application or however they're going to book you or whatever. And then if I fill out the application, I go back to that person, send them a message personally. Hey, just want to let you know, I saw this. I applied. Let me know if you need anything else. Then go back to the post and hit and just type in applied. So, I mean, you're all over that algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to stand out because I do. I have a job search, a couple job searches on LinkedIn.
Yep. I do too.
For like CMO, CRO, VP of marketing, freelance copywriter. And so I'll see gigs, and they're usually for a full-time employment, but then I'll message them. I saw one today, freelance copywriter. It was something like 600 applicants.
Yeah.
In like days or a week. I don't know. It was overwhelming. But yeah, I look up the company. I go friend a couple of people because I'm looking for change, right? Where there's some kind of turmoil or whatever. And then I'll just reach out. Do you hire contractors? Does this have to be full time? On and on. And I land gigs.
Yep.
It's just, you don't have to follow the rules.
You do the same thing on Indeed.
Yeah. You don't have to follow the rules.
Right.
So, and honestly, if you do, you're going to get stuck. You'll never stand out because they're flooded. And with AI and overseas VAs, I mean, things are just, I'm working with a tech company right now and I'm creating real email messages and I'm telling him, make some phone calls, leave a voicemail. Hey, I just shot you an email.
Yeah.
And then we're sending direct mail, a letter. We use a tool a friend of mine used to work at called Sendoso.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put in a budget per contact and send whatever, a book, a box of chocolates, something. But it makes them validate their address because a lot of people work from home.
Yeah.
But you're not just going to send an email and just, oh, you're exactly what we've been looking for.
I know.
We were hoping you would email us. Out of these thousands of applicants, we were waiting for yours. Thank you so much for this great email. So, all right.
Yep. Very true.
Very cool. So your website. So my wife just texted me. We have to go play pickleball. And we're at an hour already. We discovered pickleball, our county. So I'm the HOA president, going on my 3rd year, man. You know,
Wow.
because we're Air Force. I mean, you know, people come to us for leadership. But our county has funds. We got a 2-court pickleball court installed for free for our little community.
Wow.
Oh, and my father-in-law lives a mile away in his 55+ community. So he brought us to his place just 2 weeks ago. It was on a Sunday night. The place was empty. It's like individual courts, benches, chairs. They have staff that works at the clubhouse. So 10 p.m. right on a Sunday night. She's like, I'll bring y'all some water. Like this beautiful facility, man. Swimming pool, tennis courts, bocce ball, two pickleball, and the place we had it to ourselves. Like, okay, we're coming back here, Papa.
Right?
Oh my gosh. So
that's awesome.
But like the whole family has gotten addicted now to pickleball. So it's been fun. I've been watching some videos. I mean, like if you've played tennis, racquetball, you understand the mechanics.
Right.
But it is, you're hitting this wiffle ball, right? So it moves different, and there's the rules with the kitchen and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But like I literally never played it till like 3 weeks ago.
They have tournaments and everything. It's a huge sport.
It's huge. I had no idea.
Huge.
I guess so where I live it's called Murrieta and Temecula. So it's like Tampa, St. Pete, right? But I mean we literally butt up to each other. So there's no water separating us. So there's 250,000 people here. And so Temecula, more people know, but the two towns are about the same age, about the same size, but Temecula's better known. But I guess they installed 17 courts at one park.
Good Lord.
It's like, holy smoke. I had no idea it was that big, but I've now learned it's very big.
It's very
so I got to go play pickleball. But your website is the Success Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would pick on our Marine Corps buddies, but they know how to spell corpse.
Right.
With no E. Navy may struggle. So CORPS, the Success Corps. And you've got a very affordable download there right on the homepage. Get booked to speak, right? So what does that entail?
Yeah, it is my exact business model laid out in a 12 or 15 page guide. And it will tell you exactly. And it even has an email in there that I use, copy and paste it into an email and send that to organizers. And I promise you that you will get booked to speak using this guide. Guaranteed.
So get booked to speak. So it's right there on the homepage, the Success Corps. Very cool. Well, man, I forgot to ask. So you were talking about South Carolina, but you're in Utah now, right?
I am. Yeah, I retired out of North Carolina and moved to Utah.
Gotcha.
And now, in a couple months, I'll be moving back to Michigan, and that is where I will be forever.
All right.
Going back home.
Sounds good. Nothing beats home.
No.
All right, man. Well, Sean Douglas, thesuccesscorps.com, man. Thanks for coming on the Sales Podcast. It's been great.
Appreciate you having me.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too.